The following program is for adult audiences only.
This is
Eric and Gord. What if we're right?
Right now. I believe it would be mine.
Are You Ready?
Gotcha.
Find and like us on Facebook.
Oh, no, I was
Follow
just
us on
making
Instagram.
sure Eric and Gord was hearing that too, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well, the good news is her
how's
voice still
everybody
comes in
doing?
clear, so-
Welcome to What If We're Right. How is everyone? Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, welcome. Glad to have us.
This is, of course, Gord. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing okay. I've had better days, but I'm doing all right. How are you, my friend?
I am phenomenal. This is, for our guests, I'm not too sure if they know that this is our season finale. It is also our 205th episode as we say goodbye to season 2. So I thought, in natural, understated, subtle Eric style, I thought we'd go out with a nice, easygoing topic for everyone to just have a few laughs. Joining us.
Nothing says easy going than talking about religion.
And
Nobody
of
gets
course,
triggered by
joining
that.
us today, we have Jeffrey Davis, who doesn't want to involve God in the conversation, but just went through a pretty severe storm and made it out the other side okay. Thanks for joining us, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, here in Nashville, man, I live right where in the actual suburb, one of the hardest hit ones of these nasty tornado that just blew through here.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, glad you made it.
Oh, yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate you.
And Cherie, thanks for joining us at the last minute. I really appreciate you getting in touch with us. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, it's really good to be here as I drive down the highway. We're doing RV driving at this point, and it's great to be able to connect and have this kind of conversation.
Oh, definitely. And anyone listening, the phone is open, 604-655-9630. We're also set up to chat live online if you want to text me your questions via Spreaker.com. I'm ready to take them. And I'll give some a little bit of backstory here because I've got a little bit of time. I come from a very Christian family. I'm not... How do I put this politely? There's currently estimated 2.6 to 3.1 billion Christians in the world. That's roughly 1/3 of the world population.
Ooh.
Now, obviously, in the past decade, other religions have made giant steps in North America, and they were met with Trump's Muslim ban, state-mandated Bible teaching in public schools, and laws that now permit students to give faith-based answers in science classes. But Christianity is suffering in North America. Attitudes towards LGBTQ communities are shifting. Diversity is becoming the pillar of a stable community. And just some research I did over the weekend, roughly 80% of people in a survey of, it was only about 5,000 Americans, but 80% said they believe in God. Of them, 56% said they believe in the God described in the Bible.
Whose interpretation of that God?
I'm sorry?
Whose interpretation of the God described in the Bible?
You see, that's where my big question comes in. So let's dive right into it, because my question is, the Bible is supposed to be a perfect and complete guide to living one's life. I would maintain that it's not applicable in modern times. Now, I guess Cherie would be the best one to answer. Do you believe that the Bible is a perfect and complete guide to living one's life in modern times?
Christianity is that there are so many paths that connect to God, and that religion really is something that man has created to make sense of their world and to try to define God, which really is undefinable. We are using
now,
our own.
my contention would be that the Bible itself is supposed to be the Word of God. So aren't you kind of denying, right? If you don't believe in the Bible, then you don't wholeheartedly believe in the Word of God. And that's just my interpretation.
Right, that's your interpretation. And basically what I'm saying is the Bible is a sacred text. It was written by men. It was written at a time where the translations had to be done by hand, by scribes, with tremendous amount of errors written throughout the Bible. I think the Bible basically is a tool to help us live our lives, a tool in looking at our consciousness, but it's not to be taken literally.
And
Well, I say that kind of makes sense because you kind of can't take the Bible literally. There's too many contradictions as it is anyway. So that kind of makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, but you have plenty of what I call biblical literalists that do believe that it's literally a step-by-step guide, a word-for-word handbook, yeah, as Eric was saying. And so it's like there's so many different perspectives. Some people do believe it's literally true, which causes a lot of problems, obviously. And some people believe it's more allegorical, and that's within the realm of, or the broad brushstroke. I'm sure Cherie would agree. Christianity is a broad brushstroke, depending on where you are in the U.S., where you are in the world. Ask a Christian what it means to be a Christian in any given city, any given country, anywhere, and if you ask 100 Christians, I would venture to guess you get 100 different answers on what it means to be a Christian.
and
That seems to be very true.
And that is where I kind of take issue with it, because I would think that it's kind of an all for one for all sort of deal, or it doesn't work. How does it work if everyone has their own interpretation of it? How can it be correct, I guess? You can have your own interpretation of math, but at the end of the day, there's only one form of math that's correct. You know what I mean? If at the end of the day, a large percentage of you are going to find out that you're wrong. Because really, when it comes down to it, there's only one way, and it's the Lord's way. Am I wrong about
Well,
that?
I mean, it depends on who you ask. That's the hard thing, right? And me as a former religion as a whole, Christianity and the other quote unquote Abrahamic faiths, the three faiths of Abraham, right? The ones that stem from Abraham, which are Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Those three faiths, oftentimes people of those faiths and different sects within those faiths do claim to be absolutely right. And that's a huge problem, right? Because if you're going to claim being absolute right, you have to be able to prove that. And there is no proof for that, because you can't point to the Bible or the Quran, because that's the claim, right? The claim can't be the proof. So, yeah, and I want to hear what Cherie has to think about it, because it's so open. Christianity, I can only speak to that because that's the only religion I've been a part of for a large number of years, is so vastly different, person to person, town to town, country to country.
And Cherie, can I just ask really quickly, do you have a degree, or are you...
Yep. Went to
You do-
seminary 3 years. Yep.
Seminary,
I'm a
3
reverend,
years. 'Cause
ordained.
The
Yep.
problem I have with... last month, I became a minister. I've got an ordination certificate. I've got a white collar. I've got the whole 9 yards. At the end of the day, it cost me $120.
You did the online thing, didn't you?
So I tend to question the legitimacy of anything that I can get online for $120 and then pass myself off as not. I in no way mean to discredit you, but there's a very small group of people who would think to question your credentials as opposed to mine. If I show up in the white collar and say I'm a minister, does it not maybe bother you that people can do that and then claim to be legitimate ministers when they're not?
So on a personal level, sure, it does. But I have no control over those folks who decide that's what they want to do. That they want to go online, they want to pay the $150, and they want to have something that says REV. For me, I'm accountable for myself and my flock, right? I mean, mine is about doing as much research academically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, to have as much clarity as possible to assist folks in really having that conversation and that relationship with something greater than themselves. And I don't care if they call it God, Allah, goddess, light, love, energy, principle. It doesn't matter to me. What does matter is, are you connected to something that is greater? And my personal mission is to have these conversations about awakening to possibilities. You know, you talk about mathematics in this very logical, absolute form, and I don't think that having a relationship with anyone, furthermore, something that we call God, can be linear, can be in that logical realm. And I think
doesn't God think so? Doesn't God believe himself to be absolute? And thereby our interpretation really doesn't matter. I'm just going to use pronouns indiscriminately here. I'm going to call God he, if I may, for just the purpose of this part of the conversation. Anyway, he knows what's up, and you're going to be wrong, or maybe you're not. But if you are, and you've missed the point, does that not upset God?
Well, I think that if we give God human characteristics, you know, if we make God a he, if we make God this anthropomorphic being that sits in the clouds on a throne in judgment and controlling everything like Superman or Santa Claus, yeah, then we got issues. Those are issues. But what if our interpretation of what God is and is not is infallible like we all are?
So what about the difference between, like, say, the Old Testament and the New Testament? Because Old Testament God was a very angry, spiteful, you know, like anybody basically fucks with him, he went out, you know, he cast out his own son, made him ruler of hell just because they had basically a disagreement about how heaven should be run, and he, you know, started his ruling against him. But all of a sudden there's a complete about face with the New Testament about how God is this divine, fully understanding, forgive all sins, you know, as long as you believe in me and accept me in your heart, then you're going to go to heaven. But it's a complete contradictory to what was originally taught out of the Old Testament, which would almost have to be a more truer form of the Word of God, considering it was written before.
Well, you could say yes, you could also say no. And what if there's an evolution of consciousness in the folks that have an understanding of what they think God is?
Yeah, what if they were like, oh shit, we got it fucking wrong, right? let's write a better version, you know, and because who can seek to live up to those laws in the Old Testament, right? I mean, that's the reason that the Jewish people had the sacrificial system, because it wasn't possible to live by the law, you know. So they had every culture in antiquity has